Hello and welcome to April's edition of the provider listening sessions. And today we have one of our senior nurses, Val Knepp, who's going to be doing a presentation on patient navigation only. So Val, over to you.
Thank you, Mark. Hi, everyone. My name is Val, and I am one of the program nurses here for the Wyoming Cancer Program. And going to be talking to you today about some additional resources that we have for your patients, and that those are called patient navigation only. Sorry, having some technical difficulties there. So patient navigation, as it refers to our program, there's lots of different types of patient navigation. But for our program in particular, what it is helping to get our clients screened, overcoming barriers, so that we can get up those screening rates. Our state is one of the kind of lowest in the country for cancer screening rates. And so we're really trying to work hard at getting those cancer screening rates up so that we can detect cancers early and get them in and get their screenings done in a timely manner. So there are some core functions of patient navigation. Determining eligibility is the first step in making sure that they're going to be eligible for our patient navigation program. And we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a minute. We also assess their barriers, any kind of barriers that they're having in getting to their cancer screenings, getting their cancer screenings scheduled, or just completing those screenings. Also, we want to help them resolve those barriers. And so we do that in a number of different ways, which, we can outsource them to other community resources. We work well with you guys as far as, their healthcare providers in working to get them into getting those screenings completed. We also provide education and support to those clients, educating them on why it's so important to get their cancer screenings done, the importance of detecting cancers early so that, we can get them into treatment sooner. And also just supporting them. A lot of our clients will say they're scared of getting their screenings. If they've never had a mammogram, they've heard horror stories and things like that. So just supporting them in, what they're dealing with, getting them into those screenings. We also provide outreach and referral coordination. So sometimes clients are having other issues other than just getting their screenings completed. And so we can help provide them referrals to other resources. And then also sharing results. We share the results with their healthcare team, which would include you as their provider. Sharing those results with patients if they have questions once their screening is completed, if they need to move on to more diagnostic testing, then, helping them understand why and, kind of the next steps. And then also, if there are other community resources we are referring them to, we can also share those results with those entities. So we do have a mission statement here in the Wyoming Cancer Program that specifically is for our patient navigation only program. And so that mission statement says, we provide individualized assistance for patients, families, and caregivers to navigate through the healthcare system and overcome any financial or other barriers to complete quality breast, cervical, and colorectal cancer screenings in a timely manner. So I just want to point out that it's not really just about the patients. If their families need, any help in understanding their screenings, why they're important, especially some of our Spanish-speaking clients, their families are very involved in their care. And so just important to include all of those people in helping get them through the healthcare system. A lot of times they have questions, they're scared, they don't understand. And so we want to make sure that we're addressing everyone. So a little bit of background about our patient navigation only program. In the past, our Wyoming Cancer Resource Services coordinators were the ones that would do our patient navigation for us. And so we would refer clients that were denied for our regular breast and cervical cancer screening program over to our WCRS. And then they would work with those clients by giving them a screening voucher that they could take and go and get their mammograms done. We were kind of discovering that we had a lot of issues in kind of being the middleman in this process, and we weren't getting a lot of the people screened that we were sending to them. They were having a lot of issues, making sure they were following up with the clients. They had a lot of stuff on their plates, and so it was just really hard for them to ensure that these clients were getting taken care of in a timely manner, checking back in with them. And so we started having discussions internally at our program on how we could maybe come to a better solution to get our clients screened in a more timely manner. And so we reached out to the Wyoming Breast Cancer Initiative, who at that time was funding the Wyoming Cancer Resource Services coordinators through a grant to help these people get screened. And so basically what we did is we kind of took over that grant from the WCRS. The WCRS are still our contractors, and they still do a lot of great work for our program. However, we took over the breast cancer screening patient navigation from them. And this happened in 2021. And we really started taking on this partnership with the WBCI. So we were awarded the grant, and we started navigating people through that program. And then in 2021, early 2021, 2022, we had someone from our maternal child health unit in here in the Wyoming Department of Health approach us. They had some grant funding that they were trying to figure out what they could do with, and asked us if we had any thoughts on how we could partner with them. And so again, we talked internally about kind of what we saw as being something important we could use that money for. And we ended up partnering with them to provide cervical cancer screenings for clients that were denied for our regular BCC program. This was a really important piece that we were missing in getting these other clients through to their cervical cancer screenings. So that partnership really started in the fall of 2022. And so we're just working really hard with both of these outside entities to get people through to their screenings. So the nurse role for us here at the Wyoming Cancer Program, I'm just going to kind of go through and explain what we do. So we receive all of the denied Wyoming Cancer Program applications from our enrollment specialist. And we receive those as she gets them, and she goes through and determines if they're eligible for our BCC program or not. Those denied applications she gives to us, and then we go through each one of those denied applications and screen those for eligibility for the patient navigation only program. We then contact these eligible clients and ask them if they would be interested in us helping them get their screenings. Not everyone that we contact is going to agree to be screened through the patient navigation only program, but we're pretty successful in getting them to enroll. And then once we contact them, we will usually try to get those screenings scheduled for them. We have found that when we schedule their mammogram appointments or their office visit appointments for their cancer screenings, they tend to actually keep those appointments and get to those screenings. They don't forget to call and get it scheduled. They don't schedule it and then forget about it. So I think that's been a huge benefit, is for us to get those screenings scheduled for them. And then we follow up with either them or the screening provider to make sure that their screenings are getting completed. We usually start with the provider. We reach out to them and ask for the medical report, either the mammogram report, the pap test, whatever their screening was that they had done or that they had scheduled. If we find out that they didn't make it to their appointment, Then we will reach back out to the client and find out why and see what barriers are keeping them from keeping their appointment, following through with that. And then we'll get them rescheduled and help them overcome those barriers. And then if we have clients that are diagnosed with cancer, or they're having issues getting to their appointments or getting time off from work or whatever it may be, then we'll try to help them refer to other resources as needed in their own community. So you're probably wondering who's eligible for these patient navigation screenings. So there's different eligibility for both the breast and the cervical cancer screenings. For the breast cancer screenings, they do need to be a Wyoming resident, and they have to meet the United States Preventative Services Task Force breast cancer screening guidelines, or have an underlying condition or risk. They must also have a financial hardship. So, sometimes people may have insurance, but they're considered underinsured because they have a deductible that's really high, or they have a really high out-of-pocket cost that they can't afford. With the breast cancer screenings through the Wyoming Breast Cancer Initiative, there are no limitations based on gender, age, income, or insurance status. Through our regular BCC program, they do have to be a woman, and they do have to fall into certain age requirements. So this is a nice program for those people who wouldn't otherwise be able to get a screening through the BCC program. Then for our cervical cancer program, patient navigation program, they also must be a Wyoming resident. They need to be ages 14 through 44. They must be uninsured, so have no other type of insurance, and they also must have a financial hardship. Another requirement is that they cannot have had a cervical screening in the past 3 years unless they are high risk. So, there are some definitions of high risk, but as a provider, if you send us in someone and you say they're high risk, then we are going to try to help them get enrolled in this program. So not every patient referred is going to be eligible for patient navigation. There are some various instances where we're not going to be able to help, every single person that we get. Funding and staff availability may limit how many women we can enroll in our programs, especially on the funding side. These programs are both funded through grants, and so we don't always know, if we're going to be awarded the grant, and if we are awarded, how much money we will be awarded. And so it's just really important to understand that we do want you to send in these patients, but they may not all be able to be enrolled in the program. But however, there could be other resources available to them. And we just want you to keep in mind that, even in your own facilities, you guys might have programs that could help them, funding from other sources or charity care or things like that. So that's why we want you to send in all of your patients that you might think might not even be eligible for the program. So there are limited services that are covered through these screenings. For breast cancer screenings, we will cover the office visit if it's needed for their mammogram referral. So if you have a client that needs to have a well woman exam and she's enrolled in our patient navigation only program for her breast cancer screenings, we will pay for that office visit as long as you do a clinical breast exam, or you talk about and refer them, send in an order for a mammogram. We will also cover their mammogram, diagnostic mammograms, and ultrasounds if needed. And then if it's found on their diagnostic studies that they need to go further and have a breast biopsy, this program will also cover that. And there are special circumstances where you as providers or radiologists will determine that a woman may need an MRI. And so that now is also covered under this WBCI breast cancer patient navigation program. For cervical cancer screenings, this program will cover the office visit. So when your client comes in needing a well woman exam, it will cover that office visit, as well as the Pap test and the HPV test, which does include the lab fees and the fees for taking the Pap test as well. So how do you guys as providers help your patients enroll in this program? We all know that you guys play a really important role in getting your patients screened for breast and cervical cancer. We have found, and various studies have found, that when a client gets a strong recommendation from a trusted provider like you, they are much more likely to complete their screenings. So we want you to have every one of your patients fill out the Wyoming Cancer Program enrollment application. Even if you think they won't qualify for our BCC program, it's very important that you send in that application so that we can determine whether they would qualify for the patient navigation only program. It's really helpful if you explain to them what our program does and what services we do offer. Sometimes we'll get applications in and we will go to contact the patient and they will have no idea what we're talking about. They won't even remember that they had an application sent in on their behalf. So it's really important if you can, just let them know, hey, let's fill out this application. This is what it's for, and this program will reach out to you and let you know, what they can do to help you. You can submit their applications either electronically on our website, by faxing them into us, or through email. And then just let them know that we will be contacting them either by mail or by phone. People that do get enrolled and approved for our breast and cervical cancer program will get a packet and a letter in the mail, either letting them know they were approved or denied. And then patients that are enrolled in the patient navigation program will be contacted by phone first. And then we will also, if they do get enrolled, send them a packet out in the mail as well. So then what's next? So any applicants that are eligible will be contacted by one of our program nurses. They will receive the welcome packet with their ID card in the mail. The ID card is a very important piece that they will need to take with them to their screening appointments. And that's how your offices will bill our program for their screenings. We will schedule their appointments if needed, which typically we do end up doing. And then we will follow up with them after that appointment date to get their medical records to find out if we need to do any further follow-up or if they need any further screenings. So just to reiterate the importance of patient navigation, since we started this program, we have enrolled 141 clients into the patient navigation program, and out of those, 124 of those have completed their cancer screenings. For 34 of those clients were needing additional diagnostic testing that was also covered through this program. 29 clients were given their first mammograms, and 3 were given their first cervical screenings. So I think you can tell just by these statistics how important it is to send in those applications for your clients, because either we're going to enroll them in the breast and cervical program and those screenings are going to be covered, or they potentially can qualify for this patient navigation program and we can get those screenings covered for them. So I think the takeaway here is that 124 clients probably would not have gone and got those cancer screenings completed if they weren't enrolled in this patient navigation program. So in summary, please always submit an application for your patients, even if you don't think they're going to qualify. If they're denied for the BCC program, they may be eligible for patient navigation services. Clients will be enrolled in patient navigation based on our available funding and any other resources. And we offer both breast and cervical patient navigation services. A lot of you might be familiar with the breast cancer patient navigation services, but since the cervical is so new, you may not be as aware of that. So please keep that in mind. We may eventually be able to offer colorectal cancer patient navigation. So stay tuned for that. And now if there's any questions, we'd be happy to take those.
Thank you. We do have one guest online now. If you don't have any questions whilst we're recording this session, we're going to be stopping recording in a few minutes. And then if you do have questions you want to ask off camera, please feel free to stay on and ask those. Next month, we'll be doing a presentation based on the eligibility requirements for the programs and also the current application form and how to make sure it's filled in correctly with the eligibility guidelines. But like as Val's mentioned, please send in the application form regardless, because there may be other funding and resources available. So please, anybody who's interested in receiving covered cancer screening, send in an application, even if you think they don't qualify for that BCC program. So if there's no questions right now, we're going to end the recording. Thank you for joining and for watching this presentation online. And we look forward to seeing you next month.